Hi, everyone. Steve Adubato with my colleague, Mary Gamba. Welcome to the greatest leadership show anywhere in the universe, Lessons in Leadership. I made that up, Mary. You think it's plausible?
I think it's extremely plausible. We are one of the best for sure.
And one of the reasons we're the best is we have the best guests. Kick off the program with Monica Burnette, who is Vice President, Student Services at the great Seton Hall University, which you can tell because it's right behind her. Good to see you, Monica.
Good to see you, too. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Let's jump right into this. College student mental health, an epidemic?
Well, unfortunately, nationally, Steve, there has been a growing trend of college students who are really showing higher levels of anxiety and depression and stress than in previous years. We're also seeing across college campuses a higher demand for mental health support, including increased utilization and really need to offer more robust services.
Along those lines, before Mary jumps in, Mary has one student and one son in college.
Right.
One who recently left college to be gainfully employed.
Graduated, didn't just leave.
Congratulations.
Adding that graduated.
Yeah,
right.
He left and is no longer.
And we have two in college right now. So here's the thing I keep thinking about, and you can help all of us, Monica, with this.
Sure.
College student mental health, for those of us who are parents, affects our mental health, does it not?
Absolutely. I think it's it can be contributed to several factors. I think that post-pandemic impacts, students are feeling more isolated, more lonely. We're seeing, especially in the K-12 sector, some significant academic learning gaps. And we know our college students are using more social media and technology. And then there's also financial stress with the rising cost of education, right? So I think that there's several factors, and this impacts not only students, but also their parents too, who are also dealing with this.
As Mary jumps in, the website for Seton Hall will be up. Go and check out student services there and a whole range of activities going on at the university. Mary, please.
Absolutely. One of those services, Great Minds Dare to Care. I know I was speaking with your team, Lori, Pine, and Matt. Thank you so much for prepping us for today. But it's really tied to Seton Hall's What Great Minds Can Do. Can you talk a little bit about that and what exactly is a Great Minds Dare to Care program?
Absolutely. One of the things that we really focus on at Seton Hall is care for the community. And that is really big here. And we've been fortunate to not only look at best practices with our counseling and psychological services program, but also to collaborate with external partners too. So the good news is the state of New Jersey has really been at the forefront of this mental health crisis for our students, and they've recognized the need to assist colleges and have generously provided grant funding for our Great Minds Dare to Care program. And what that is it allows us to provide all of our community members with opportunities to engage in things like training and resources and activities that really promote tools and strategies for managing mental health and helping others. So it's really a community-wide effort. So not just students being trained, but also faculty and staff members as well. It really takes a village.
Monica, I'm going to follow up on that. Great question, Mary, but I want to jump on this. Has the crisis in mental health for young people, particularly college age students, has it changed the role of universities in the lives of those students? Has it really changed what the university needs to be?
I definitely think that it does. I think the expectations that college students have of what they're going to experience at university has changed. And I think institutions have to move forward with innovative ideas and not just the status quo. We have to keep evolving. Every new cohort of students presents different challenges. And I think that as the mental health crisis continues, we really do need to be able to partner and collaborate with other institutions, with our state and legislators as well, just to be able to complement this problem.
Mary?
I would love to hear your opinion. As a parent, Steve and I talk about this a lot as well. For parents that are out there watching I often feel so helpless. I feel like I'm saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I say, yeah, exactly. I can get you set up with a therapist. Well, I don't need a therapist. Well, what do you need? Because you're not listening to me.
Right.
What advice?
And why aren't you opening up telling me these things? Why do I have to ask you a million questions to find? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. And there's so many parents that are out there struggling. And I thought it was a struggle when the kids were younger, but now once they are in college and even after they graduate college, what advice do you have for parents on truly how to support their kids in this challenging time?
That's a great question, Mary. And we speak with our parents often about this challenge. And I think the very first thing to do is to really normalize the struggle. You know, I think that once we share with our college students that this is normal, you know, college is going to be difficult, but there are resources available on college campuses to help you. I think that the key thing is to make sure that the students know that they're supported, that there are campus resources there to help them every step of the way. It's really up to them to really kind of seek those resources as well. And we do a lot of focus with our students on resiliency coping, really helping them to understand how to build confidence, how to make connections, how to build a support network, how to support and set goals, and also really prioritizing self-care. That's really important for us too. Really helping them to understand the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, if you will.
Monica, I want to follow up on this, Monica. To what degree is the challenge, not the challenges, but the challenges around mental health for college-age students, a product of those students feeling they're the only one? I'm the only one. Because other students are not, I imagine students are not going around talking to each other openly about what they're experiencing. So a college-age student can feel it's just me, which makes it 10 times worse, does it not?
Absolutely. If they feel alone in this, I think that it makes it harder for them to seek help early and often. But what we're finding is that, 40% of students say that their college experience, that they are managing various levels of stress. And
40%.
40%
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do they connect stress with anxiety?
That's right.
Depression? Okay.
Not necessarily depression, but anxiety for sure, anxiety and stress. So they're saying that mental health is impacting their academic achievement, for example.
What about academic achievement? I'm sorry, but what about the challenge around achieving academically, creating additional stress?
That's right. And they're all connected, right? When your mental health is not at its peak, it impacts everything else. So I think that, one of the things that we really try to do is to create a community of care where students don't feel like they're alone. At Seton Hall, we have what we call peer advisors here on campus, and they're linked to every first-year student. And that is their first friend on campus. That's who they can go to if they have questions about what do I do if I'm struggling in a course? How do I talk with a professor? So just making sure that they know that they're not alone is a really big part of helping them to handle the stress.
Monica Burnette is Vice President of Student Services at Seton Hall University. To disclose, Seton Hall, a longtime higher ed partner of ours. Monica, for the work that you and your colleagues do every day for our college-age students, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
Construction companies work at the heart of our communities. So do the operating engineers of Local 825, who build our roads and bridges and ensure the safe transmission of energy that keeps us on the move. Local 825 works with contractors as partners in quality, safety, and training. Our achievements stand as monuments to collaboration that will last for generations. This message has been brought to you by the members of Operating Engineers Local 825. Better building begins here.
We continue the conversation all about leadership with Pasquale F, Giannetta, attorney at law, Giannetta Law Firm, also trustee, former president, chairman of a great organization called the Columbian Foundation. Good to see you, Pat, my friend.
Nice to see you, Steve. Always a pleasure.
Now, I have to disclose, Mary, that Pat and his good friend and colleague and partner, Mike Calabro, we are part of a golf group that plays on a regular basis also with Ralph Pacifico, our great friend, the coach. Is it not, Pat, we'll talk about leadership in law in a second in the Columbian Foundation. Is it not, don't we often say that we play better when we're having a good time and it's relaxed? Don't we say that?
We always play better when you're with a good group of guys and you encourage each other. Even though we may be adversaries on the course, we always encourage each other and we play better. And since I played with Steve, I came down 1 point in my handicap. Thank you, Steve.
Wow, that's impressive.
Mary, we play by not all the rules, most of the rules. Okay, now let's do this. Let me ask you this. The Columbian Foundation connection, make it clear to everyone what it is, the website will be up, and why it's such an important organization.
Okay, so the Columbian Foundation, I've been involved with it since 1997, but it's been around since the mid-40s. And what we do is it's a very small organization, Italian-American businessmen, professionals. We raise money. Every year we give scholarships to Italian-American students, medical school, law school, NGIT, engineering, and we give to a variety of charities all through New Jersey. We've given millions of dollars away over the years, and it's important to us to try to help others, and especially in education.
Along those lines, Pat, as we put up the site, not just the Columbian Foundation, but also the law firm, you and Mike Calabro, colleague as a lawyer and, again, a mutual friend, how challenging is it to lead a law firm in these days versus just, say, 10 years ago? How much different and more challenging, Pat? And then Mary will jump in.
So, it's a lot more work now. The area, the practice is very diverse. Our office is in Newark, where I was raised. So we came back to Newark basically to give back to the community. But of course, the community now has changed. Predominantly, we have a lot of Spanish American people here that we cater to, and we do all different types of work. So when we represent clients, a lot of them have family problems. They may have some minor traffic problems, municipal court problems. We do a lot of federal cases. So our plate is pretty full now, as opposed to, say, 10 years ago.
And Pat and I grew up in the exact same neighborhood. It was Italian-American, quote unquote, back in the day. It has changed dramatically. Mary, jump in.
Sure thing. You talk about the community changing. Let's talk a little bit about your team changing. And Steve and I talk about this all the time. It's been a theme for this entire tape day of Lessons in Leadership, and it's all about motivating team members. As you're seeing the up-and-coming young legal professionals, if you will, young lawyers right out of law school coming into the firm, what do you feel is the most important thing to them when it comes to their motivation and really just helping to get them up in the morning and getting them into the office?
Well, we try to impress upon them that the client is number one. So you have to really cater to the client, to the client's concerns. Of course, not every client is happy. So some of them can be disgruntled, but you have to accept that. That's part of your job. And if you handle the client, correctly, you'll be successful. It's a result-oriented business. That's unfortunate because not everyone could have the result that they want. And we try to explain it to the clients, but our goal is to really satisfy the client's needs.
Along those lines, Pat, I'm going to follow up. I said both of us, again, grew up in the same neighborhood, the North Ward of Newark. But I have this crazy idea, Pat, and I don't think you and I disagree on this, and I think we've said it while we're playing golf together, that some of us tell ourselves that we have a, quote, edge in negotiations, dealing with people, that we think there's something about growing up in an urban community like Newark. And you could be in Brooklyn, you can be in other Jersey City, lesser communities. Bottom line, Pat, in my mind, growing up in Newark has given us an edge in doing business. Am I delusional when it comes to that?
No, Steve, you're 100% right. It's given us an edge in business as well as golf as well. But definitely I feel we have an edge because, we're able to interact and communicate with adversaries on a different level. with judges on a different level, prosecutors on a different level, and clients on a different level. So I think because of our upbringing, I think it brings something to our leadership as lawyers.
Along those lines, before Mary gets back in, Mary asked about younger lawyers. Let's talk old school for a minute. Do you believe that there's a significant difference, Pat, between the work ethic? I know we're generalizing and it's unfair. The work ethic of those of us of a certain age who grew up old school, let's just call it what it is, and younger people in general, that we just have more grit, we work harder, we don't expect as much, we go after it? Or is that a gross oversimplification?
No, Steve, I tend to agree with you. Yes, there are some young lawyers that that are very aggressive and devote a lot of their attention and time to the practice. But I think overall, the younger lawyers have too high expectations of what the practice is about and being a lawyer. When I started out in 1987, you had to really go out and hustle and earn and develop your name, develop your practice, and devote a lot of time to that. And I think young lawyers today may be a little disillusioned about what the practice is about and maybe not want to work as hard as they should work to be successful.
And by the way, Pat came out of the great Seton Hall Law School. Seton Hall, one of our longtime partners. Mary, jump back in. Got a minute left.
Sure thing. I would love to touch on leadership and giving back. Obviously, you talked about your passion with the Columbian Foundation. And I find, and I don't know if you find is the case, that as time goes by, people are less likely to give back to the community. First, where does your passion for that come from? And how can we instill that in others?
So, as I said, my office here in Newark, but my mom, we grew up here close by the office. I grew up close to where Steve lives in North Ward. And my mom and my aunts, we had a 3-family house. They've lived here up until maybe 7 years ago. So we sold the house around 7 years ago. And so since all that time, I've been coming to Newark, regularly to see my relatives. So I think for us, it was important to, stay in the community and then try to, continue to help the community as much as we can and as well as the Italian American community.
As Pat talks about his mom, my mom's still on, quote, Clifton Avenue. For those of you who know the neighborhood, she's still there. I know you watch every week, Mom, so this is a shout out to you. Pat, listen, first, thank you for joining us on Lessons in Leadership. Also, it is an honor to be part of your Friday golf group. Mary, by the way, we play in the afternoon. We do not take all day Friday off. I just want to clarify that. Pat, do we play in the afternoon?
We have to play late. We have to wait for Steve to come because we know that he has meetings and he's busy on Friday morning. So we have to play late. But he always makes it, not necessarily.
He gets there.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the last minute.
Correct.
Yes. And we follow most of the rules of golf. I just want most of them.
Most of the rules.
Okay. Pat Giannetta, and also a shout out to our good friend Mike Calabro as well. Mike and Ralph Pacifico, who's been on with us in the past. Check out our previous interview with him. All the best, Pasquale. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, Mary. Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA, and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
At Gilead, we choose New Jersey because of the people, the potential, and the possibilities. Collaboration is a huge part of what we do. Without collaboration, we wouldn't be where we are today. We can't come up with everything that we need by ourselves, so we are dependent on the infrastructure in the life science industry that New Jersey provides. This is New Jersey. It all happens here.
Welcome back, Lessons in Leadership. My colleague Mary Gamba. Mary, we've got a few minutes to talk about some leadership-centric items in the news. You ready for this one?
Oh, I'm so ready.
So for those who watch Lessons in Leadership on a regular basis, you know that we're not a political show. There are some leadership issues that fall into the realm of people who are in political life, otherwise known as the president as we speak. There'll be a new president soon. So I got to ask you this, Mary. We don't care who you voted for president. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. we don't care. We care about leadership. Hey, Mary, how about this? As we do this program after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, be seen later, we don't care whether you voted for President Biden when he was running or not. But unless this is a leadership question, trust me, I'll get to it. President Biden said, that's what leaders do. They make statements. I will not pardon my son, Hunter. Said it many times. Repeat it many times. And then I happen to get the New York Post every day along with the Star Ledger, which isn't going to exist much longer, but also the New York Times. But this is the New York Post. Insanity defense. So the White House ridiculously blames, quote, war politics for President Biden's pardon of his son. Here's my question, Mary. It isn't a question of whether President Biden should have pardoned his son. It's a leadership question of if you make a commitment and a public statement, I'm not going to do this or I am going to do something, and then you do the polar opposite, whether someone voted for someone or not, as a leader, do we then have a right to question one's credibility?
100%. It's a bad look. Let's face it, any of us in that situation would pardon our child, right? We would not want our child to go away. We would not want them to have jail time. If we had that power, we always want to fix things for our children. So you and I talked about this a lot offline. When he had the opportunity, when presented with the question of, would you pardon your son? There were so many other more appropriate answers rather than digging his heels in the ground saying, I will not pardon my son.
I will not.
I will not. And it just creates an unnecessary situation, in my opinion. So, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth because you'll say it better than me. But what he could have said is, how did you say it, Steve? Because you had a perfect response. All right, I'm the media. Let's role play. President Biden, is it true? Is it possible that you may pardon your son?
If you're asking me to answer a hypothetical, I'm not going to do that. My intent is to follow the law. The law needs to play out for everyone. When the opportunity presents itself for me to provide pardons for anyone, those cases will be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
That's perfect. And if he would have done that, people would have not lost trust in him. And there have been a lot of things over the years with Biden, with any president, that we're always going to question.
There are enough things about President Trump that we can question, that he said one thing.
Right, but I mean, you can, and again, this isn't about politics, but with Trump,
it's about leadership and integrity and what you say versus what you do.
Exactly.
And we say, go ahead.
Yeah, and with Trump, what you see is what you get. And whether you like it or not, he's just going to call it as he sees it, and he says what he says. With Biden, what you don't want to have as a leader is a leader that's going to talk out of both sides of their mouth, that is going to talk the way that they think the public, or in the leadership case, if a leader, CEO of a company is saying what he thinks the team wants to hear. We're all many of us are parents. And if you're a parent, you can't say never. You can't say what you would not do for your child. So to avoid that, and I blame his team as well. I mean, they had to have known that he was going to be asked that question. Yep. They should have done the research and prepped him in anticipation of that question. Okay,
switch gears. Since you mentioned President Trump, by the time this airs, he will either be the president or just about to be the president. And we don't know how these presidential appointments, because a leader also selects people to be on his or their team. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know who's getting approved by the Senate, who's not even going to go to the Senate. But as we speak, there are certain people who have been, I don't want to say nominated, but identified as candidates. Let me ask you this. For the leader of the Department of Defense, as we speak right now, I don't know if he's going to be there much longer, Pete Hegseth, who is a Fox anchor who I've known for many years over there. I don't even know if he's going to be the nominee by then. Or out, who knows? Do you believe that a leader of the Department of Defense or any major sensitive federal agency or big organization, if there are allegations and a history of alleged sexual harassment, alleged abuse of alcohol, do you think that's a factor, a legitimate factor to consider someone being a leader either in a government entity or a major not-for-profit like ours, or a major corporate, or come on, that's his private life. That's her private life. You tell me.
Nothing's private. If Again, it's impossible. We all have skeletons in our closets. If we went digging in,
because my closet's full. Go ahead.
I've got some skeletons, and we all have skeletons in our closet. And I have to be honest with you. You asked a question, should it matter? That's up to the individual. For some people, they are not going to care. They're going to, push it aside and be like, you want to know what? Sure, I'm aware of these things.
Does it matter? To lead,
What's that?
Does it not? Forget about should. Does it matter?
I don't believe it should matter if all the other qualities are there. I truly believe that. People make mistakes. And again, you are innocent until proven guilty. So people could have said things about me. People could have said things about you. And, it's unfortunate that it is possible that you could just smear someone and maybe they didn't do something unless it's proven. And if there's some sort of, evidence or drunk driving or anything like that where it's proven. So I think, in my opinion, if you feel and you've done your research on someone, and if you believe in them, I think all that stuff could come secondary.
I'm going to follow up on this. Got a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. So let me ask you this. Forget about political appointments or anything else. And I appreciate what Mary's saying, innocent until that's in a court of law. In the court of public perception in the leadership world that I live in, let me try this, Mary. We have a disproportionate number of women working, and we have great men on the team, but a disproportionate number of women who are producers, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
If there were a pattern of allegations against me for sexual harassment as it relates, April, why are you looking at me like that?
Now there will be.
Well, no, as it relates to women on the team, nothing proven, no allegation, no court case, nothing. That's our board of trustees shouldn't be looking at that.
If it's a pattern, and I don't know,
versus pattern. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. If it were one person, I'm sorry, unfortunately, and I've told my boys this. I have 2 sons. You've got sons, and I said, listen. I said it takes one allegation, real or otherwise. If you're at a party and everybody's drinking a little bit, I said you need to be smart because a girl can quickly change her mind. I've been there.
Pattern different? Is a pattern different?
Well, that's the thing. A pattern is completely different. Yes.
But an incident alleged.
A one alleged incident, I'm sorry. It's just, I've seen it too often in life where it happens and it's not fair. And
Elvin just said, our director, you are right, Mary. He could have said, you're right, Steve, but he chooses not to. It's okay. No problem. For Mary, Elvin, Frank, Scarlett, April, Sylvester on the back end. What a great team we have. Lessons in Leadership. We'll see you next time. Oh, Amy, I forgot Amy closed caption. Forgot Amy closed caption. Make sure that gets in.
It will.
This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, the Helix, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Fedway Associates Inc., Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
Construction companies work at the heart of our communities. So do the operating engineers of Local 825, who build our roads and bridges and ensure the safe transmission of energy that keeps us on the move. Local 825 works with contractors as partners in quality, safety, and training. Our achievements stand as monuments to collaboration that will last for generations. This message has been brought to you by the members of Operating Engineers Local 825. Better building begins here.
At Gilead, we choose New Jersey because of the people, the potential, and the possibilities. Collaboration is a huge part of what we do. Without collaboration, we wouldn't be where we are today. We can't come up with everything that we need by ourselves, So we are dependent on the infrastructure in the life science industry that New Jersey provides. This is New Jersey. It all happens here.